It was about 1:30 in the morning on the evening of May 14th, 2020, when Tyler Unique McLean was driving back home after dropping a friend off. She was involved in a terrible car accident when she lost control, went off an embankment, and hit a tree. The airbag was deployed, and she hit her head. The clip I'm about to show you is disturbing, and viewer discretion is advised. This is the moment the officers got there and should have protected and served her. Instead, this is what they did.
Miss McLean, what are you doing right now? Miss McLean. Ma'am. Hey, ma'am. Look at me. Hey, what are you doing right now? That's definitely not gonna fly. Hey. Hey, step out of the car for me. Step out. Step out. Come on. Step out of the car for me. Step out of the car. Step out. Come here. Roll over in your back. Give me this hand. Give me this hand. Hey. Just sit up for me, okay? What? Hey, give me this hand. I'm recording, okay? Put this in the car. Here, just put it in the car. Alright, that's good. Hey, I'm gonna get off you now if you just relax, okay? Okay.
Have to carry her. That's what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Or drag, whatever we can do. Next area will be over in just a second.
Yeah. Come on.
You good with her in there, Brent?
Yep.
Okay, you need to get in this car. All right? Step up into this car, okay? Come on. Come on. Let go over something. Get in the car. Get in the car. Keep turning your head that way. Get in the car. Get in the car.
Stop touching on me.
Get in the car.
Stop choking me.
Get in the car.
Oh my God. Get your hands off of me.
Hey.
Get your hands
Turn
off
your
of me.
face away from me. I don't want you spitting on me.
No one's going to spit on you.
Then get in the car.
Okay, then let go.
Get in the car.
Oh my God.
Get in the car.
Is this how you treat
Get in the
people?
car.
Oh my God.
Please get in the car.
Do I have my phone, bro? Oh my God.
Here it comes.
Get in the car. Get in the car. Hey, get in the car. Please get in the car. Please get in the car. Please get in the car.
I can't.
Please get in the car.
Oh, I didn't even see the airbag went off. Yeah.
Didn't know the road pretty well, or
Well,
getting tired, falling asleep.
I don't see any alcohol, but she kind of.
didn't smell anything? Cause she's actually pretty goofy. I don't know if it's just from smacking her head, but
I ain't
Y'all didn't
smell
smell
nothing.
anything either.
Hmm.
You didn't smell anything.
I didn't smell anything. She like went to grab something and got out, and she kind of stumbled a little bit. She might have fucked up her head. Yeah, I don't know.
Shout out Mrcheckpoint. Hey, FTP. There's killers up in these streets. Always film the police. Gotta be our own keepers of peace. Gotta police the police. Gotta police the police.
Well, I wanted to thank you, Tyler, Talisha, and Do It Lacey, the attorney, for joining us here to discuss really what's occurred. If you guys could just say your names and like where you're tuning and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Tyler, McLean, and I'm calling from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
Okay. And my name is Talisha McLean in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And I'm DeWitt Lacey. I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm the attorney, or at least one of the attorneys that are representing Tyler in her civil lawsuit. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. So I guess how I'd like to start this first is there is obviously an incident that's occurred that blows my mind beyond belief of most things I've ever seen. And we'll definitely get into that. But before, I was just hoping to really just talk to both of you about Tyler before this particular incident, what you were into, what you were loving, what you were up to, and just what was going on before anything happened.
yes, I was a baker. I was into landscaping and just all into using my hands and just staying active and being as productive as possible, and had this a motivational spirit. I started from, not knowing much to just turning it over to something that built up over time and just grew and grew and grew. I graduated high school, and after that I just kind of pursued, and I started this, within my mother being diagnosed with breast cancer. It was something to support me and my family, to bring up a great aspect of growth. And before, it was, always staying busy and staying active in the community, and having a business of my own was something that I always was doing all year round. I started probably when I was 12, 13 years old. So it was just something that just came out as, something that really came out of my heart, just something that I really knew I could do, something that I was really motivated to do, that no one really could tell me that I could not be able to do.
And that was baking, right? You're baking treats and like selling them. And how are you selling them? In what capacity, or getting the word out?
Through social media and through the news channels.
You were selling them at school?
Selling them at school, and getting it through the word by word, and people just spreading the word and just spreading it through the community. And this became like worldwide, and people wanted me to ship them in and ship them out, and aspect of what I was doing. This is something that I wanted to continue to do consistently. There was never an ending to it, as I like to say.
Is there an ending now? Why do you keep saying that?
It just feels more difficult for me to physically take on. But it was something that I did on myself, and I wanted to show other people that they could do the same thing that I was doing.
As it grew, did like mom help you at all, or were you just running the whole thing yourself, or what?
I got some help from mother sometimes. She said, okay. I had to step out sometimes, sometimes she couldn't believe that this was something that I really.
Who came up with some of them recipes?
Oh, I thought you were on the lawn service.
Now the lawn service was your thing.
Oof.
The lawn service was all you. I was just the camera woman. I would just come film her when she was out there mowing lawns. But the cupcake business, I would give her some recipes and tips, and help her in the kitchen. We would deliver cupcakes together. Tyler had kind of started doing cupcakes since 2016, kind of just playing around with it. And then in 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had to have a mastectomy immediately. Actually, tomorrow would be my 5-year anniversary of being diagnosed with breast cancer. I was diagnosed March 2nd. Actually, Tyler, you have a tattoo right there. Look. Tattoo, it says March 2nd, 2017. I was actually very angry that she went off and got a tattoo that big on her neck. But it was like, you know, she was trying to show she loved her mom, but damn, she wanted to start her own business. She had dreams and hopes, and hopefully one day we'll get back to it. Hopefully one day it's gonna, you know,
For sure.
but she had all these dreams and she was good at it. You'll have to try her cupcakes, Mr. Lacey and Senate. Y'all got to try her cupcakes one day.
I would love. I'm sending my address, so whenever.
When we are shipping, when we are shipping one of these days or something, you got to try her cupcakes. But they were really good, and you know, it's just like now it hurts to see her not to be able to get in the kitchen and do what she used to love to do.
So let's talk about that. So you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that's where you live?
Yes, we live in Tulsa.
And then, so I understand that this incident happened in Arkansas.
Yes, about an hour and a half away from us, 1.5 hours, 2 hours away.
So if you just want to explain kind of what occurred, when, where, and what happened in that experience. If that's okay.
Well, I'll speak for just a second. I know in 2020, Tyler moved to Greenwood, Arkansas. She actually moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas, but they're pretty close. They're like 30 minutes away from each other. She moved to Fort Smith, Arkansas with a friend. And her and a friend decided to get a house in Greenwood, Arkansas, because it was a little bit cheaper. You know, so they moved to this house and everything, and had jobs, and a friend of hers was at work late that night, I believe, right? On May 14th, 2020, your friend, night shift. Okay, and you can tell the rest.
And so we were both working like night shift jobs. So that day I had not was not called in for work. So you know, I just knew that I needed to pick her up. So it was going to be late. So I needed to kind of arrived. I needed to be ready. So it was a late night and I was in a wreck, and my vehicle spiraled and went over a barbed wire fence. And after this wreck, instead of getting I'm gonna take a quick little pause. Sorry about that.
Take all the time you need. Absolutely. You could totally take a break and it's all good, you know. Take a breath.
You got it. You got it.
So I was in a wreck, and instead of being assisted, I was assaulted.
And if I can, Senator, I'm going to jump in here, and Tyler, if you don't mind. Not only was she assaulted, right? There was a wreck, obviously, in the night. Her airbags had deployed at least somewhat. We're not sure if they even deployed properly, but obviously she had been in a wreck. And instead of law enforcement officers coming to her assistance and her aid, these officers treated her as if she were some type of violent criminal, dragging her from the car after she had been in a wreck, pinning her on the ground, putting her arms behind her back and, you know, handcuffing her, tasering her, holding her on the ground. I mean, this is not behavior or aid that anybody in that situation or circumstance would reasonably expect, which is the reason why I'm here, right? I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm here to make sure that circumstances like this, or when these circumstances occur, that people are held accountable, right? And the law enforcement community out there certainly has some questions to answer and some things that they're going to have to be held accountable for. Of course, this has played a role in who Tyler is now. And, you know, the trauma around that, not only emotionally, but even physically. And perhaps Tyler could explain better than I can how it felt to be treated like that in that circumstance. Tyler?
Yes. Physically, it just becomes to a point where I can't be able to take care of my own self moving forward. And that might be, you know, mentally or physically. And so I had to get assistance from other people and get cared. Because sometimes I don't understand what might be going on, you know, would that be confusion, memory loss, or just not being able to understand what's going on around me, sleeping a lot and not going about the days with full motivation and without, or being in so much pain physically. You got it. You're doing good. It became hard for me to continue relationships with older friends, and you know, it's made it hard for people to understand me. So you know, when I try to explain that I'm, you know, going through something and I'm trying to move forward, I'm going through this type of pain, I'm not getting that the understanding of how it can be approved. And
You got it. You're doing good.
You're really amazing. And I like your strength and resilience to even just discuss this and have this call. It's it goes to show like how really strong you are. And it might like you feel like you're not having the words, but it's incredibly powerful. And what you've experienced is unlike anything I've truly seen. Because I've never just been in a situation where all you do need is help and all you get is abused. I mean, it's the most, being in an accident, I've been in accidents and I've never had the airbag go off, and it's the most vulnerable, unclear time that like I've ever been in. I mean, you're getting an accident, sometimes you're really hurt, you think you're not. I mean, there's adrenaline, and again, I've never had an airbag like deploy in any capacity, which is a huge force that I know that those airbags emit and do to like it, that's real. And I've watched the video and I've never had impact like that. And so just to have that, to see police on their way, I don't have to assume you thought that they were there to help you. I'm certain you thought that they were there to help you.
yes.
That's what we think of police, like they're on their way. This would be like the life jacket, you know, this would be what could help you, save you. And here you're treated it's not even the opposite. It's like inhumane. It's a criminal shouldn't have been treated how you were treated.
Right.
Senate, you're absolutely right. This was the time for them to be heroes, right? This was the time where you had somebody who was in a vulnerable state in an accident, right? This was the time for them to earn that reputation or that justification for being called and labeled as heroes, right? Mm-hmm. Tyler needed heroes that evening.
For anyone that was driving by, and I think there's a perception of when we see police and they're talking to someone, or certainly when someone's arrested, there's a perception by the public that they must have done something to deserve it, right? So exactly. To be clear, with this particular accident, if we could go over the time of night, if there were any other cars involved, and if they did give you were you on, did you get a DUI? Did you get, was there any charge or reason for that, for any arrest since?
No. There was none at all. There was no actual encounter with another person, or I did not wreck into any other vehicle or any land. That was actually one of my questions that I could recall, was that if I had ran into anybody's property, and if I had messed up anything that was not mine, so
it's okay.
So it wasn't a DUI. Were you drinking? Were you using drugs?
None of that.
What time of night was it at?
About 1:30 in the night a.m.
And you just lost control, and what you ended up hitting, was it a tree?
I ran through some trees.
And for context, pardon me, Talisha, Ms. McClain, for context, I'll say this, and just talking to, your family, and maybe that's not the way it is now, but not too long ago, the area where Tyler wrecked, those were sundown towns over there, okay? Mm-hmm. And while we out here on the West Coast may not have any real understanding of what that means, but a sundown town was the type of place where it was not safe, and it was known that it was not safe for Black folks in particular to be out after sunset. And if there were going to be some physical consequences to that, and it could cost you your life. Now, I'm not going to tell you that that's how it is out there now, but obviously there's probably remnants of that around there. Now, I don't know the officers' motivations for treating Tyler the way they did, whether they be racist, whether they have some bigotry or problems with members of the LGBT community. I don't know. But what I do know is that's not what they were trained to do or supposed to do.
And what was the charge that you were booked under? Were those charges dropped, dismissed, or did you? What was the outcome of that? And how long did you spend in jail?
About 24 hours. About 24 hours overnight. And I just remember being in the booking and screaming through this little window, asking for help, and they closed it. And before they did that, it was just me expressing that I didn't know why I was there, or I knew that I was in a car accident. That's all I remember, is just like, hey, I was in a car accident. And I needed to get to someone immediately because my head was hurting so bad. It was just.
And was that something you let them know, like that you were wanting medical attention, or? Yes. I mean, typically you get in an accident when an airbag's deployed. I've been in accidents that's never happened, and I've seen people be admitted to the hospital, and
they did take her to the hospital, Senate, and you've seen the body cam, so they did take her to the hospital. They even showed that on the Dr. Phil show. But if somebody whooped your ass and then took you to the hospital, would you want to get out the car?
But here we are now. You want to step out? Or...
Let me get your temperature, okay? 98.0. Have you been coughing or any sore throat or anything? Okay. Can you stand up for me?
Not really. It seems that I'm chained like an animal right now.
You are chained, but hey, listen.
Not to visit with you. I have no disrespect.
And then they're making the story while they're standing there with the nurse. They're making it seem like you did something wrong, and the nurse is standing there like you did something wrong, and you know you didn't. I mean, that's how I looked at the whole body cam at this video. If somebody beat me up, assaulted me, dragged me, tased me, I didn't commit any crime. I didn't do anything wrong. And then you take me here and act like you're doing me a favor. Oh yeah, we're bringing her in to get her checked out. She had a car wreck.
Yeah.
She had a car wreck, and then you beat her up pretty bad afterwards.
Yeah.
You scared her, you hurt her, you know, who knows what else, because there's parts of the body cam that was cut off during that time.
Right. I hear you. What kind of care and treatment is being taken to the hospital in handcuffs, right? Like, this is not a typical way that you get in an accident, you need care, and now you're in handcuffs to go to the hospital. I mean, it's bizarre that the only way police can transport anyone is when they're in handcuffs, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, to me, that's one just wild thing. But the fact that obviously with this, it's so beyond any humane response. It's the most inhumane.
They treated her like she was an animal. They treated my child like she was an animal, shackling her. I mean, nowadays you can't even treat animals like there's laws that say you can't tie an animal up by chains to a tree or whatever. So I'm just saying she was treated like an animal, shackled by her feet, handcuffed behind her back, dragging her, two men carrying her up a hill. Now she got her arms and back is hurting, her spine. She's always complaining, Mom, my back hurts. No one would sit in pain and crying if they weren't hurting. She's 21 years old. She wants to be hanging with her friends, living her life, and she's always in pain because of what these people did to her. She wasn't like this before. She wasn't.
It's like, it's as far as I understand, and I would have to do a tiny bit more research, but what I understand is when someone was in an accident, the only reason the cops actually initially go to accidents, right? Because when you're in a car accident, what's a cop doing there, right? They're not really, there's nothing, they don't have things to help you. What I understand is cops were going to car accidents so that really during the scene, no one could come by and like take someone's stuff, or really just to like provide eyes for it.
Right, just to help. You're just there to help because there's no crime, right?
There's no crime, right? And the people aren't the enemy. So if there's an accident, you're like, really, an ambulance should have come. And
an ambulance, I want to say an ambulance did come. They checked like your blood sugar and some stuff, right? So an ambulance did come. And so I want to say even in the body cams, she walked back to her vehicle, because keep in mind, I guess she's not in her right mind. So she's trying to start the car. Well, you know, in her mind, will my car start? I'm out here two hours away from my mom, my family. They're going to be mad at me. I know how I feel when I wreck my vehicle. You know, Lord, you know, my insurance is going to be up. Who can I call? So she's sitting in the car at the beginning, like when you see what they showed on Dr. Phil, she's feeling on her pocket and she's looking for her phone. And even when they tased her, she kept, well, you'll hear when the guy said, here it comes, I'm about to tase you. And she's like, can I just have my phone, bro? Give me my phone, bro. The whole time she's just saying, let me call somebody.
Just that, look, you know, the trauma associated with this, it should be unquestionable. I think any reasonable person whom this happened to would, you know, reasonably have some trauma and terror from law enforcement. And those are the things that Tyler has to deal with now, right? The aftermath is, how does she go forward, you know, knowing that, you know, law enforcement treated her in this way at a very vulnerable time, when she really needed their help. So she's seeking treatment and things now, and doing her best to manage. But certainly there are some things that are lingering, not only the emotional trauma, but as Ms. McLean said, the physical trauma, and Tyler said, the physical pain. There's still pain in her back, spine, arms, and some of that is definitely, if not all of it, related to the treatment that the law enforcement officers the way they conducted themselves on May 14th.
Right, because you have how they treated her and the lack of care she should have had.
Yeah. I mean, just put together.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. I mean, look, it's common knowledge now, even football players, right? If there's somebody who's had a concussion, they don't put them back on the field. They don't throw them on the ground. They certainly don't taser them. And, we're definitely going to have, a neurologist who can speak to that effect as we go forward in this litigation. And, look, I'm not one that likes to call, people racist. I haven't met these fellas. I don't know them. But I do believe in calling a spade, right? And, we know a tree by its fruit, right? And the fruit that this tree bore was, abuse, misconduct, and terror, things that should have never been associated with them coming to rescue Tyler in her moment of great need.
Absolutely. I hear you. And like you said, there's nobody who's ever been in an accident that would not resonate with exactly what you just said, or even been just, I mean, it's very, very, very clear to me. And I think
and you know what, Senate, that's what makes it so hard for Tyler. And Tyler does prefer to go by Unique now. But that's what makes it hard for Unique is that when she goes to doctors, when she tries to talk to a psychiatrist or doctor or someone, and they say, well, what's going on, or what caused this to occur? And she says, I was assaulted by the police. She gets treated different. People treat her differently. Like, just imagine if you're going to a doctor and she goes home to a husband that's a police officer, and you're coming in saying, well, the police assault me. Like you asked earlier, the question is usually, what did you do? What did you do to cause this? Everybody says the police did something. What are you whining about now? And that's how she gets treated. For 2 years, we've been dealing with this, Senate. For 2 years, I've been trying to get in, and because I met you 2 years ago. I met you during this journey, trying to get her help mentally and physically, and it's getting worse to the point that she's attempted suicide November 2021, and then she recently attempted suicide to her 21st birthday, December 4th, 2021, and then the year before, 2020, November 2020. So I'm dealing with a situation, to me, that's serious. Like, I feel like I'm on fire over here. Like, I'm literally screaming, like, I'm on help. Somebody help me. And it's only because, like I said, she wasn't like this before the police incident. She was not like this.
I hear you. And it's you should never have to deal with this. This is so absurd, these circumstances. And for anyone watching who agrees, because I think there's absolutely going to be a consensus of anyone watching, what can people do to support you both, to support your family? Is there any links? Is there Instagram accounts to follow? And I definitely will be sharing them all below in the caption so they can click and make sure to learn more and follow. But anything the community can do that's watching and hearing, what could that be?
And so if there's any really good, anybody want to help with good chiropractors or good therapy, we do have a GoFundMe set up. I believe it's Justice for Tyler McLean. So we do have a GoFundMe set up. Any donations are greatly appreciated because, like I said, me and Tyler aren't working. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to help Tyler right now. So, I mean, that would help with food, bills, and actually, her doctor has recently said that she needs to move back in with me. She has to be living with someone. So this week she'll be moving out of her apartment into my 1-bedroom smaller place. And so we're trying to get a bigger place. Tyler needs her own room. So I want her to feel safe. I want her to get a therapy dog again and just feel safe and get better and get, good psychiatrist, good therapist. So like I said, we did start therapy this week. So that's a good thing. But we do need help financially because, like I said, there's things that she needs medicine, food, bills, treatment, like I said, the hyperbaric treatments that she just started, the yoga classes, anything that I can do to help Tyler heal, that's what I want to do.
What motivates you every day when you wake up? Is that a
Me?
random? Yes.
Random question for you, Tyler.
Yes.
Unique has a random question for you.
Unique, that's a good question.
What motivates you?
To try to use like any ability I have to help someone with what they need or don't. And I think with what has been developed through Mrcheckpoint and just continuing to share is a audience and a lot of people that seem to have a similar interest in holding police accountable, similar interest and want to make transparency with police and or learning about it or seeing it for the first time and or experiencing it. And so I don't know, I think it's that really just to utilize anything I have. If I'm on the street and I have my phone with a camera and someone's interacting with police, I'll just film it. I did that for almost 10 years without sharing any videos because I wasn't sure that was important to share them. I knew it was important to have the proof if something went wrong for me or in the moment. I would like send the person the video after the interaction, but I didn't know it was important to share that publicly because I just wasn't aware. The more I did it, the more people said this happened to me. And then the first question I said is, did you film it? It's usually a no. So we have to become our own transparency of police, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the money we give to the departments to make them transparent with the body cams, they have all of the access. They can decide when it's on, when it's off, what they release, what they don't. All of that to me is wrong. And so we have to use whatever we can to make that change. And I think that's what is the reason and what makes me want to wake up every day and why I was so thankful to speak with you, really, and share what you're going through.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to share this and be able to allow it to become a documentation of, if that's the correct word, of just establishing an understanding of the good and the bad, what's in between that. And being able to ask questions of like what is needing help with, and being able to help is to know that I got a little lost. Hold on. You want to re-navigate me? Send it.
Yeah, you're
And,
good.
and this is a part of her illness. This is a
You're
part of what she deals
amazing.
with.
This isn't even lost. You're doing amazing, really.
This is what she deals with. So this is just you. This is
okay.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna be
That's
okay.
really okay.
You're gonna be okay. And
I'm always here. The reach I have, the audience, it's your reach, it's your audience. I'm going nowhere. I'm a text, phone call away. I know Attorney Lacey Attorney Lacey is the best, and I'm so thankful to have him on board to help you. And it's
Synette,
really...
let me just say before we let you go today or in the interview, I want to say thank you to you and all you do for the families. I never imagined that I would be amongst the families of how do you even victims of police brutality. I mean, I'm lucky that my child, did not pass away. I'm lucky that my child is still living. But I keep telling Tyler, it could be worse. You could have been like a George Floyd. You could have been a Breonna Taylor. It could have been a Sandra Bland. I mean, the names could go on and on and on. The list goes on and on. So for whatever reason, I keep telling Tyler, you're here for a reason. I'm not saying that those people weren't, because everybody has a purpose and we live and we die. Death is a part of life. But I'm thankful for you and your platform and what you do. because you're shedding light on what happens, and a lot of people aren't doing that. A lot of people, you know, and they're scared. You know what I mean? They wouldn't do what you're doing. You put your neck out on the line for us, and I thank you and I appreciate you for real. I thank you for reaching out or contacting Mr. Lacey for me after you see me still like, we still need help. You know, I'm still looking for a lawyer. I think I posted it on Instagram, like I'm still looking for help. You know, I think you seen the Dr. Phil show. I was like, you know, and worked your magic, whatever, you know, Mrcheckpoint does. And now we are being represented. We have representation for Tyler, and that is everything right now, because I want my child to get help. I know those cops will never go to jail for what they did because this is America, but I want some type of justice, and she deserves something. She deserves something. She shouldn't live like this. She shouldn't have to live in pain mentally and physically for the rest of her life now, and they get away with it scot-free. That's not fair and it's not right. So, I mean, I'm thankful for your platform that you actually are concerned with this topic, because, you know, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people think you're just out there with the phone. Oh, he's just annoying the police. But there's things that are being done that nobody, that are not right. I'm not saying all police are bad, because there's good and bad. You know what I'm saying? There are some good police out there. But in my daughter's situation, it breaks my heart, because like I said, I appreciate you doing her backstory. She's not a bad person. She's not some thug, killer, drug dealer. She was a good kid, went to school, high school, college, wanting to start her own business. And now she's dealing with this, and I'm dealing with it too by myself with her, trying to help her heal. So it's just been a nightmare. But so I thank you for what you're doing out here, trying to help families like me, because I don't know what to do. And I'm not alone. I mean, this happens all the time. The sad thing is, it's after it happened to her, it's going to happen to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, you know? So I want to reach people like Sean King, people. I want her story heard, because she did live and she wants to speak. If she doesn't, I told her, I said, Tyler, you don't have to speak about this. You don't have to tell your story. But she said she wants to, because there's people that don't survive and they're not able to tell what they're going through and the pain that they're living in. And I mean, this possibly could help other people be able to speak out and get treatment that they need. So just like with my story with breast cancer, I feel like I could save other people by speaking out about natural and holistic health. I tell Tyler all the time, you could help somebody by sharing your story. Maybe those people weren't brave and didn't want to speak up about what happened, because you do have to be brave. We're going up against people that get away with murder. They get away with everything. So you do have to be brave to speak up and say, hey, these people did something wrong to me, and I want something done about it. So I appreciate what you are doing. And I believe that we are going to get justice with Mr. Lacey. I believe that he got our back, and I'm trusting God and believing that everything's going to be okay. And we most definitely need support. So, you know, like I said, follow me, Reality918 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Talisha McLean. And then we do have a TikTok.
I can give some of my information.
Go ahead.
My Instagram is Tyler U McLean, so MCCLAIN. And you can find me on Facebook at Tyler McLean. So Tyler, and the TikTok, it's Justice. It's for Tyler
McLean. Your last name's on there. Okay.
Mm.
We'll double check.
The number 4.
We will definitely make sure to link all of those things, the GoFundMe, all of the accounts below. Okay. Attorney Lacey, did you want to say anything? And
final words. There's an old African proverb, and it says that until the lion learns to speak, the story will always glorify the hunter. And I want to give a little praise for you ladies for standing up, Unique and Miss McLean, and Lion. Okay, absolutely. And we are now going to tell the lion's tale, and there will be justice at the end of this. Of course, with the help of Mrcheckpoint and the AFT Foundation, but also with our law firm. Obviously, we're going to do what we need to do in the legal forum. We got you. Let's go get them.
You said we got
got
you.
you.
Yes.
Thank
We're
you.
here. And thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable. I can't imagine how difficult this is. And so we support you. We're with you. We got love for you both. And of course, thank
We
you.
can't wait to meet you, Mr.
You,
Checkpoint.
Lacey. I'm
We
gonna
want
give
to
you
meet you
the
and hug
biggest
you one of
hug
these
soon.
days.
I'm there.
One of these days.
It's
We
gonna
appreciate
happen.
you. Seriously. I appreciate you, bro, for real. Thank you.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Right
Thank
now.
you.
Shout out Mr. Checkpoint. AFTP. There's killers up in these streets. Always film the police. They keep feeding us to the beast. Always film the police. They kill us up in these streets. Always film the police. Gotta be our own keepers of peace. Gotta police the police. Gotta police the police.